What's up, YouTube? This is Politically Incorrect. I saw this break on the news wires not too long ago, and that is that Colin Powell, who was the first black United States Secretary of State under the second Bush administration, he served during George W. Bush's first term, has died. He was 84 years old. The cause of death was complications due to the scourge. You know what I mean by when I say the scourge. Um, he was a career soldier. He served during the Vietnam War. His intelligence, his diplomatic skills, his diplomacy skills, and his sound advice made him a popular figure. He was a person of reason, great intellect, and ultimately he rose in the ranks. And by the end of the Reagan administration, he became the nation's first black national security advisor. During Reagan's successor term, George Herbert Walker Bush, who served from 1989 to 1993, Colin Powell became the youngest at age 54 at the time and the first black Joint Chiefs of Staff. And it was in that position, along with then Secretary of State Dick Cheney and General Norman Schwarzkopf, who was the field commander or the supreme commander, I guess I'll say, of the American forces. Uh, they led the very popular war, the Persian Gulf War, which was a stunning success in the early months of 1991. After that, of course, George Herbert Walker Bush had enormous popularity for some time, for a short period of time, as did Dick Cheney. Colin Powell's popularity was much more sustained afterwards. So much so that by the mid 1990s, Colin Powell was a real contender for the presidency of the United States. Many polls actually showed him as the only Republican capable of beating Bill Clinton in the mid 90s. At that time, Bill Clinton had successfully recovered from the 94 debacle, which of course resulted in the Democrats losing control of both houses of Congress for the first time in some 40 years. Ironically, when Eisenhower was president, who was also a general, uh, Clinton had successfully maneuvered from that debacle. He was successful in pinning the Republicans as the fault of the government shutdown in 95, which would lead to Clinton's popularity surging. Clinton showed leadership during the Oklahoma City bombing, um, which was his strength, showing empathy, his words, his oratorical skill, oration skills, or oratorical skills, whatever how you want to say it. And the economy began to seriously rebound from the recession of 1992 and 93. But polls showed that Colin Powell could beat Bill Clinton, but ultimately, in early 1996, Colin Powell declined to run. Now, what has come out over time is that he didn't run for two specific reasons. The main reason being that his family was receiving death threats. I suspect these death threats may have been coming from both sides. Clinton dirty tricks, and maybe certain racist Republicans who just didn't want a black man at the helm of the ticket. I've always maintained this position that the Republican Party cannot stand having a black person in a position of real authority. You know, they might trot out a Republican to make some point, yes, as to, hey, it's not us, it's them. But as far as real political power, the Republican Party has to show me that they're willing to do that. But Colin Powell remained popular, and he became the first black United States Secretary of State during George W. Bush's administration's first term. But it was Colin Powell who was pegged to go in front of the world in front of the United Nations and deliver the plea to build a coalition. It was Colin Powell that was pegged because Colin Powell was the most popular. He was the most. He was the one seen with the most credibility, and it was him that was pegged. But at the same time, if things went wrong, the blame would go on him. That's what happened because as time has gone on, the intelligence that they used to show Saddam Hussein had weapons of mass destruction was not credible. And over time, Colin Powell became disillusioned with the Republican Party, and he began as early as 2008 to begin endorsing Democratic candidates, starting with Bill Clinton. Excuse me, Barack Obama. And this year, he changed his party affiliation from Republican to Independent. Um, I never put Colin Powell in the same category as a Jesse Lee Peterson or a Larry Elder or a Candace Owens. Those individuals to me are grifters and they know what they're doing. The game with them is to demonize black people and to angelicize white people. That's their game. To me, Colin Powell was a actual Republican from a philosophical standpoint, his beliefs. I think what happened with him is that he began to see the rightward lurch that the Republican Party was taking. Okay, to give you a perspective of how far to the right Republican Party has gone, Ronald Reagan was considered very far right. Okay, very very far right during the 1980s. However, by today's standard, even Ronald Reagan, who was once revered by this party, wouldn't fit in. He'd be considered too liberal. Why? Ronald Reagan would be considered too liberal because he became a gun control advocate after his assassination attempt, and also on the area of immigration. Reagan was actually to the right of Bill Clinton on that topic, so he wouldn't even fit in with today's Republican Party. So I don't put Colin Powell in the same category. And I'm going to end it with this: Colin Powell was never beloved by the black community as much as say Jesse Jackson was, but from a personal standpoint, a moralistic standpoint, I think he was a better person than Jesse Jackson and Al Sharpton. So I'll just say that. So tell me what you guys think. Oh, by the way, almost forgot to mention this. I'm noticing that the media is making uh, a strong effort to show what killed him, right? Every obituary I'm looking at is making sure to tell you that he died of the scourge, right? So someone could say, see, all of you Kyrie Irving supporters, this is why you got to take such and such. But what they're leaving out is that he was fully, you know what? He took the concoction. He took all of the concoctions, and it still led to his demise. All we're saying and all we've been pleading is that it's not a cure.